Hello, my geeslings. I am recording this introduction right after finishing my morning stream of Robinson Eats. Today was a thrilling stream because I got both a YouTube subscriber to Robinson Eats, a Twitch subscriber to Robinson Eats, and then on Instagram Live, somebody messaged me with greetings from Gambia in West Africa. So that's exciting. Anyway, so I just finished this pint of salted chocolate churro gelato pairings ice cream. It was super weak, largely because I think Talenti is just super weak in general. They have these two bases. I've identified two bases. One is really watery. The other is more viscous. The viscous one is much better. This was all watery. Not enough churros. The chocolate just didn't work. Anyway, I am now rambling on about ice cream, which I am wont to do, but that is not the purpose of this introduction. I am introducing what I believe to be episode 24 of Robinson's podcast. It is the second with my good friend Caroline Hudson, who is a plastic surgeon. And in this version of this second episode, our first episode, we ate some snack cakes while we talked. This episode, we eat baked goods from some place in Palo Alto called Paris Baguette, I think. Anyway, it didn't really do that much for me. But it serves as the scaffolding for the real conversation, which was about her work as a plastic surgeon. And since we started talking more about dermatology and skincare, it has become like I was going to say a hobby of mine, but that's definitely not right. It's just whenever I find some avenue for self-improvement, particularly if it's really easily accessible or easily implemented, I find myself like obsessing over it. And I wouldn't say that I've been obsessing over skincare, but it's definitely been on my mind more the past couple of months. So I had all sorts of questions regarding plastic surgery. I don't intend on getting plastic surgery, but it's interesting to me. And then I had more, I'd say, personally relevant questions about skin health and skincare in general. So we started off talking a bit more about how Caroline became a plastic surgeon because she is an ENT, which is I don't know if you'd call it a specialty or a subspecialty or what, but when doctors graduate med school and go to residency, they specialize in something, and ENT is ear, nose, and throat. So we talk about how she went from, or why she chose the ear, nose, and throat track, to become a plastic surgeon. And then we talked about all sorts of different plastic surgery and facial skincare type topics. So we talked about forehead lowering surgery, which I didn't know was a thing. We talked about rhinoplasty, Zac Efron's jaw, facial feminization surgery. And I think for me today, the most important thing we talked about was stimulating collagen, because in my last episode with Caroline, she said something to the effect of, if you're not stimulating collagen all the time, then what are you doing? So we talked about what it means to stimulate your collagen, why you would want to stimulate collagen, and ways in which you would do that, orally, topically, and non-invasively. So this episode, I listened to it again yesterday, and it was just filled with bam, bam, bam information, which is the best kind of information. And I think if you listen to the whole episode, you'll really get a good sense of many things that you can do to improve the quality of your skin. And maybe I was going to say as a philosopher, I don't really identify as a philosopher, even though that's what I'm getting a PhD in, because it seems personally kind of I don't know, pretentious or silly to label myself as a philosopher when I think of people like Aristotle or Plato walking around in togas as philosophers. But it seems kind of like it should be, I don't want to say beneath me because I don't want to make it a pejorative, but okay, it seems like talking about skincare is frivolous and I should be worrying about bigger problems. But the fact is that I am very much a human. I'm a person. I'm insecure about a lot of things. I care about ice cream much more than I should. And so I care about how I look. Most people care about how they look. So it was really nice to have this conversation with Caroline, and it was really nice to learn a lot from her. And I hope you learn a lot from her too, and you enjoy the episode. I've got Caroline Hudson, ENT/facial plastic surgeon, here again for round 2. Last time we did snack cakes as we talked about plastic surgery, but that was, I don't know, I found it pretty disappointing as far as the snack cakes went.
It was pretty much exactly what I was expecting.
Okay.
Which is to say underwhelming. Yeah.
But so this time we're doing baked goods as we do our discussion.
For sure.
Which will hopefully be tastier to accompany our plastic surgery and medical discussion.
Hopefully.
So the first question, though, before we start with our baked goods, and we also have pins here with us, is, so you're an ENT, that's ear, nose, and throat.
Mm-hmm.
So after you did medical school, you went to your residency where you specialized in that, and then afterwards you go to a fellowship for plastic surgery. So I hadn't realized that there even was this pathway from ear, nose, and throat, where I assumed, I don't know, maybe you're dealing with esophageal cancers or intranasal warts. I don't even know, tongue surgery.
Yeah.
But from this to like facelifts, I would have thought that would just be something completely different. So why is this a pathway? Like, what is the reasoning behind it? And then why would you choose this pathway over, I would guess that there's a more linear, like straightforward path to being a plastic surgeon.
So ENT is shorthand, like the official name of it is otolaryngology, which also is just, I guess, means ear and throat. But the other name we call ourselves is head and neck surgeons. So we operate on everything in the head and the neck minus the brain. So in that aspect, we are the most comfortable of all surgeons with operating on the head and the face. That includes the face. And so we know the anatomy, we think, better than any other surgeon. So facial plastic and reconstructive surgery was traditionally something that was performed by general surgeons and plastic surgeons, but then as ear, nose, and throat found its footing, it sort of developed the stronghold on the head and neck aspect of plastic surgery, because our thinking was that we're specialists in the face. That's all we do. So we can do the facial parts of plastic surgery better than other surgeons. We have more comfort in that area. So I chose ENT because I like head and neck anatomy. The rest of the body doesn't interest me as much. And to be a body plastic surgeon or a general plastic surgeon, it's a 6-year residency, and you generally spend 2 or 3 of those years solidly doing general surgery, not plastic surgery, but general surgery, which is like appendectomies, colon surgery, gallbladder surgery. And I had no interest in doing any of those types of things. So I figured spend 5 years doing ENT, which was far more interesting to me, and then just do the extra year for getting comfort in the plastic surgery world. So that's why I chose that.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. I don't know what I was expecting, but I was expecting an answer that wasn't going to make sense for some reason.
Okay. Hopefully that made sense.
It does. It does. Why, though, do you find face and neck anatomy more interesting than the rest of the body?
I think it has to do with how critical, like, the head and the neck are for your, for the senses, like, hearing, smelling, tasting, seeing, like all of those things, all of like the sensory experiences of what it means to be a human being are involved in like your head and your neck. And so something about that was very fascinating to me. Those are like different neural pathways. And the anatomy involved in that is something that I found more interesting than like the gut, the belly.
Am I right that it is more complicated? Because I'm guessing, like, if you look at this like stretch from my wrist to my elbow,
your forearm,
we could also call it that. There's a lot less of this nerve stuff going on that you just mentioned.
Yeah, I think some areas of the body anatomically are a bit simpler than the head and the neck. People just tend to not really, like the average person, and also doctors who don't specialize in this area tend to not have a firm grasp on like what exactly is going on inside a nose, what is at the back of my throat. People don't know what they've never seen like on the inside of their body. So yeah, there's a lot of there's a lack of understanding by the average person that's maybe not there for like looking at your foot. It's your foot, like people get it, but like your throat, it's a lot more mysterious.
And even on a very superficial level, like not getting below the skin, I mean, you have lips, eyelids, like cheeks, scalp, and all of that skin, I'm guessing, is drastically different in various ways. Yeah, you have different anatomy in those areas. The thing that's common about your eyes, your nose, any place where there's an opening in your body is going to have a lot more nerve endings and be like more sensitive. So that means that when I do surgery in those places, people will sometimes have more discomfort and more pain associated with it, because that's just evolutionarily how we've developed to help keep us safe. Here's another question for you. Not that these haven't been questioned so far, but I recently learned about something called, I think it's glabrous skin.
Like your glabella?
No, maybe that word isn't right, but it's skin like your cheeks or the palms of your hands, where I think the blood vessels are very close to the surface and they dissipate heat very quickly. Is that not a term that you're necessarily familiar with? I wonder. I'll look it up.
No, I'm not familiar with that term.
Glabrous skin. Glabrous skin is devoid of dermal filaments such as hair or feathers. Okay.
I think all my skin is devoid of feathers. I don't know about you.
That's true. So it's okay. Yeah. All right. The thing that was interesting about it, though, was I had read that there are some studies, maybe even done at Stanford, where because the blood vessels are way closer to the skin on your hands or your face, you lose or gain heat through those surfaces much better, lose or dissipate or gain heat way more quickly than you do through other types of skin. So I think what was being done at Stanford was, while working out or in rest periods, they were having people hold on to cold objects, and that was cooling down their muscles like very efficiently, so they were able to exercise faster.
Interesting.
Yeah, but some other application maybe of it was that if you're in a hypothermic state or hyperthermic state, it's way more efficient to heat or cool the body by applying heat or cold to these glabrous surfaces, as opposed to, like, if you're really cold, you should be you should have hand warmers or something as opposed to just putting like a blanket over you. You'll get warmer more quickly because it'll more efficiently heat or cool the blood. Okay. Anyway, so what is this bakery?
Paris Baguette. I think there are a number of locations, but the one I went to was in downtown Mountain View.
Okay. And I feel like you told me when you were telling me about this place with Michael, aka your husband, that they have really exciting things there.
Yeah, I think that the variety that they offer is not your average, and they have a pretty wide breadth of the types of things. It's not just all donuts or it's not all cookies. It's like a good variety, and I think the flavors are a little bit more interesting or exciting than what I come across in an average bakery.
Okay. And in a thrilling twist of events today, I do not know what we're going to have.
Yep. I made some selections myself.
Okay. So I am going to shield myself from view of this Paris Baguette's box while you select the first item and place it onto a plate.
Okay.
Shielding.
There's one object that I'm not going to try because I don't like the flavor, but I selected it because I thought you might want to try it.
Well, we'll see if I can force you to try it.
Okay.
But I actually met a French person today, like 30 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And because I was walking my dog and she was also walking her dog. Don't cut it yet. I want to see it first.
Okay.
Oh. Ooh.
Do you want to see it or don't you?
Close the box.
Oh
Close the box.
You're not going to see into the box.
Okay, interesting. This is already not what I expected.
Okay.
I thought these were all going to be sweet treats.
They're baked goods.
Yeah, that's twist for me. I was expecting cupcakes and
No, there's not a cupcakes in the box.
Okay,
I'll save you the suspense.
I'm astonished.
Okay.
Anyway, so I met a French person as I was walking the dog, and I was like, "Oh, you have an accent. Where are you from?"
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "France." And I was like, "Oh, bonjour. Je parle un peu." And she was like, "Wow, that's impressive. It usually takes people longer than that." So I was like,
longer than that, me. What, to whip out their French?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, all right. What is this crusty delight that I see before me?
It is described as a potato curry croquette.
I've never had a croquette or potato curry, so let's get on with it.
Okay. Can I cut it now?
Yeah, now you're allowed to cut it.
All right.
So it's filled with something.
Potato curry.
Okay, interesting.
Here you go. You want a separate plate?
Yeah, I'll take a separate plate.
Okay.
Potato curry. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The camera's not really going to be able to see much, but that's what this is. It smells curry-y.
Yep.
Is a croquette fried?
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, this tastes fried.
It is by definition fried.
Mm.
Keep in mind, I procured these in like 5 hours ago. So
Do you think it's meant to be eaten immediately?
I think, yeah, probably would have been a little better had it been consumed a few hours ago.
What do you think of this?
I like it. Texturally, I enjoy it. It's covered in sesame seeds and some crustiness from the being fried that I like. And I like the filling to bread ratio. I also like the flavor of the filling. I like it. What do you think?
I also like the friediness.
Mm-hmm.
And those sesame seeds. I would prefer more filling. What is in this filling? I see like some corn, curry stuff. What makes it potato? Is there potato in the curry?
Yeah, I think so. Potatoes, peas, carrots.
Okay. Meh. Well, it's tasty.
You can't say meh and then also say tasty. I feel like those are two separate
I disagree.
reviews. Oh, your metric is like okay is just meh, which is also tasty.
Yeah, something can be totally meh and I mean, I think it depends on the category of things. So, if all pizza is if most pizza is super good, and I have pizza and I'm like, meh, it can just be good because it diverges from the average enough where, I don't know, that it's like unexciting.
Have you heard that like joke about pizza?
Oh, pizza's
being
good
compared
pizza?
to sex?
No.
Pizza is like sex. When it's good, it's great. When it's bad, it's still pretty good.
Okay. That's reasonable. That's how I feel about this croquette.
Okay, fair enough.
It is pretty good. I'm happy that I ate it. But I wouldn't buy it again.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I should re-emphasize right now, though, that tell me how much these cost so I can reimburse you.
Okay.
Because if they're bad, I want to trash it. But I don't want you to feel bad because you think you paid for it.
Okay.
All right. The next thing that I'm curious about is, so what is your TikTok handle?
Oh,
Dr. Caroline Hudson.
yes.
I think that's it too. And I think that's your Instagram as well.
That is my Instagram.
So check that out because you're putting up, I think, really well-produced professional content every day.
Thank you. Thank you.
But I saw something earlier and I made a point not to watch it so that I could ask you about it. But there was like a poll that said, have you ever heard of forehead lifting surgery or lowering surgery? Lowering surgery. People probably don't want more forehead in general.
You'd be surprised. Some people.
Oh, okay.
They have very low hairlines, I guess.
Okay. So no, I had never heard of a forehead lowering surgery. And I pressed no. But then I did not watch the video that followed. What is forehead lowering surgery?
It's pretty much how it sounds. It's advancing your hairline a little bit
So
lower.
it's just about the hairline pretty much.
Yeah, for people who find that they feel like they have too much forehead.
Is it because their hairlines have receded or it's just more natural?
Either. They could have been born that way or they could be losing hair.
So is it more common among men than women?
No, it's probably equally common among both because women are also bothered by the size of their forehead. But if your problem is thinning hair, I probably wouldn't recommend this surgery. I'd probably recommend like getting a hair transplant because this surgery involves a pretty significant scar across your entire hairline. So if you're then going to go on to lose a little bit more hair, that scar is going to become more obvious. Does that make sense?
So... Well, if it's going to leave a significant scar, why would anybody want to get it?
Because the scar is theoretically hidden right at the junction of your skin and your hair. So it's hidden well in your hairline. Because
like when I look at your hairline right now, if there were something right there, I might not necessarily notice it just because there's already this change from skin to hairline. Okay, so I see. So it only becomes apparent if you keep losing your hair. So if my hairline, which I assume, it is receding, so I wouldn't want to get that surgery.
Right. For you, then I'd probably recommend hair transplant.
Okay. Bring on another baked good.
Okay.
Are you not finishing your croquette thing?
No, that's all I want of it.
Oh, I want it then.
Okay, here you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, I'm not looking.
There's a lot of stuff in here. Okay. Pick one at random.
Oh, now I'm excited. I'm going to guess. Can you close the box again?
Yeah.
I'm going to guess that it is cronut.
It's a cronut filled.
Hell yeah. Now we're talking. Okay. Have you had a cronut before?
Once.
From this place?
Yeah.
Have you had this cronut before?
No, I have not. I don't even know what flavor this is. I just saw it and grabbed it.
Okay, perfect. I went to the home of the cronut, Dominique Anselme in New York.
I took his class online.
His baking class?
Yeah.
Oh, well then let's talk about that in a second. But I was in New York and my mom wanted me to go, so I went and had a cronut. This was a couple years ago, like right before the March of 2020, so like the last flights before everything closed down.
Yeah.
But I thought it was really tasty. Do you want a napkin or something, or are you okay?
No, my hands are only going to get.
Okay. I thought it was really tasty, but it wasn't something that I was like craving to get again.
Mm-hmm.
The lines at that place are all absolutely nuts. But okay, I'm gonna try this cronut.
Okay. Visually, what are your thoughts?
Okay, visually, I think it looks a little bit sloppy.
Okay.
But it was in the box with a lot of things.
Yeah, I kept it at room temp. I didn't keep it in my car because I thought it would kind of get a little melty there.
Yeah,
so.
maybe it looks a little sloppy because your hands were just all over it cutting it.
They were.
But it is roughly hexagonal. It's got some sort of like little garnish on top. But it's glistening and I like that.
Mm.
That's all I really have. Oh, it's kind of got some heft to it. I like that.
I like the laminations too from the layers of the dough. Lemon.
I like it.
I like it too. I like the lemon.
It's not very lemony though.
At the top, it's the glaze on top.
Right, but
Well, the rest of it has no lemon.
Right, it doesn't like suffuse the entirety of the thing when you take a whole bite.
Yeah, but I like that it's just a little. You get like a hit of it.
I like a lot of lemon on lemon things. But buttery, smooth, croissant-y. What do you think makes it a donut other than the shape? I guess it has like the Krispy Kreme kind of glaze.
Yeah, the glaze, the shape. What more do you need? That's a donut.
You think?
Yeah,
Is it fried?
definitely fried. You can't get this golden color with the pale inside.
Well, that also makes it. I mean, croissants have a golden outside, but they're not fried.
True, but they don't have a. Well,
Check and mate.
okay.
Are you done with that one too?
Yeah.
All right. I guess I am the garbage disposal of this podcast.
You can have more than I. You eat more than I eat.
Your side is better than mine.
Really?
Yeah. That was the best bite I've had.
Really? That's interesting. That was not by design.
Are you sure you didn't eyeball which side was better and give me the bad one?
I wish I had that power.
Okay. I was going to point out a sesame seed on your lip because I didn't want you to look bad on the camera, but you got it. Okay.
That's something I was thinking about actually about that croquette going back is that I probably wouldn't choose that for like a date or social situation because I'd be worried about if there are seeds like in and around my mouth, like in my teeth and stuff.
Pins is playing with your hair tie, which I find funny.
Oh my god, I didn't even realize it was missing.
Okay. Let's see. What else is on my mind? So you, last time we were on the podcast, you said somewhat facetiously, if you're not stimulating collagen at all times, then what are you doing?
Yeah.
I don't even know what that sentence means.
Okay.
I don't even know what it could possibly mean to stimulate one's collagen. But I would like to have better skin. So, and most people probably do. What does it mean to stimulate one's collagen before we get into how one might go about that at all times?
Collagen is what gives your skin structure and strength and something we lose as we age. Everybody does. And so stimulating collagen is the act of creating more collagen as your body begins to naturally deplete that resource.
And so what, like, in my face is the collagen doing right now? Like, why would I want it?
Well, if you picture your face versus like a 70-year-old's face and the differences there, a lot of the changes in like the texture and quality of your skin and the sagginess, the looseness of the skin have to do with collagen. So the difference between you and an elderly person's face, in addition to some bony changes that your face also undergoes, you lose bone mass in your face as you age. A lot of that has to do with collagen.
So when I think of an old person's face, I think of discoloration. Mm-hmm. Is that related to collagen? Mm-hmm. Or oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, collagen is like the gatekeeper of your skin. It keeps it healthy. It keeps it firm. It keeps it plump. It keeps it hydrated.
I get the firm, the plump, the hydrated part. Mm-hmm. But what interaction does it have with like color, like keeping sunspots off your skin?
Well, melanocytes are what produce those dyschromias or those pigmented spots. And so having a healthy skin environment will discourage the formation of those and keep the melanocytes in check.
So it's more like indirect.
Right.
Okay. So that's one thing, the pigmentation. Then the other thing I think of is old people have kind of like really papery thin skin. Mm-hmm. And that's more directly the collagen. Yes,
and elastin, yeah.
And elastin. Mm-hmm. Which, as the name would suggest, it has something to do maybe with the stretchiness or bounce of the skin.
Right, it's another kind of protein in your skin.
And when you're stimulating collagen, are you also probably stimulating elastin, or separate mechanisms?
They are probably intertwined. I don't know the direct answer to that. But more people talk about collagen than they do about elastin. So I think overall collagen does more for you than elastin.
Okay. Now, when you consume like I see where I see collagen most often is collagen protein.
Of course, because you're in the protein powder aisle.
I'm in the protein powder aisle. Yeah. So when I eat collagen protein.
Do you do that?
No.
Oh, okay.
Does it go directly into places in my body that require collagen, or is it being completely broken down and it no longer is collagen when it leaves my digestive tract? So it's kind of like false advertising.
No, I think research would indicate that collagen actually does, taking a oral collagen supplement actually does help your skin and hair health.
So it is something that you would recommend that people take oral collagen?
Yeah, I would. Collagen is not vegetarian. They do make a couple of brands, but most of what you're going to be able to find at Target or national provider chains are going to be animal byproducts. So.
If you eat a fair amount of meat, are you getting enough collagen?
No.
Okay, so
no, you're not getting any collagen.
Oh, so I should.
The problem is collagen powders are a little pricey.
Oral collagens?
Mm-hmm. They make powder and they make like gummies. The gummies are only going to be like 160 or 180 milligrams, whereas like powders, a serving's could be like 8 or 10 grams. So
and how much oral collagen do you want in a day?
I think the studies were like 8 to 10 grams a day for 4 weeks, showed an improvement in like fine lines and the quality of your skin.
Okay. Beautiful. 8 to 10 grams a day. Good to know.
Yeah, I'll have to check those studies again, but I think that was about the dosage.
And okay, so one way of improving collagen in the skin then is taking it orally. Mm-hmm. What are the ways that you had in mind when you said if you're not stimulating collagen at all times, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, topical products like tretinoin or Retin-A also stimulates collagen. Okay. Yeah, that's something that's how it works. And
is that the mechanism of retinol or Retin-A?
Yeah, that's what it is designed to do. Okay. Yeah, is stimulate collagen synthesis. And then non-surgical treatments, lasers, microneedling, platelet-rich plasma, inducing a small amount of trauma will also engage your body in the process of creating new collagen.
Are those, so oral tretinoin or topicals, we might call it, and then these, I guess, maybe non-invasive treatments?
Non-surgical. Some of them, I guess you could call them invasive if they involve needles.
Those are the three main ways?
Yeah.
And are there any of these non-surgical methods that are... One, I guess, are there any that are much more efficacious than the others?
I guess it depends is always the answer. Like, it depends on your starting point, the condition of your skin, your age, what you're looking to achieve. All of these things, obviously, the earlier you start, the nicer you're going to keep things for longer. And I don't know if there have been any actual studies that do head-to-head comparisons of these different methods to stimulate collagen and saying which one's better. So I guess it depends is my answer.
Are some more easy to incorporate into a routine than others?
Yeah, I would imagine, depending on your lifestyle, your finances, some people might find just taking a collagen supplement is the
But
easiest.
I'm just talking about the non-surgical ones, those three.
The non-surgical ones,
category.
of those that I mentioned, no, I think probably PRP, microneedling, those sorts of things are equally efficacious, and some of them require fewer treatments. So no, they're about the same.
So for somebody like me who is relatively young, but doesn't have a ton of discretionary income to be spending on these treatments, are there any that are easy to do at home or?
The non-surgical treatments?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Okay, so they all require going to like a clinic or something.
Yes, I mean, I'm sure they do offer those things at home, but I don't think that you'll see results that will make it have been worth your money. And then eventually you'll have bought like 5 different at-home cheaper options that really, okay, that probably could pay for one actual like medical grade treatment. So
How much are the medical grade treatments?
it really varies. Some places we're talking a few $100s.
For which?
For PRP, for example, where they spin down your blood and then needle it into your face. And that could be like $500.
Would that have a dramatic effect on your skin?
None of these non-surgical things, I would use the word dramatic in terms of effects. I think it will have an improvement, but those improvements will be subtle. They'll be minor.
Yeah, and I mean, if you have millions of dollars and your livelihood depends on the condition of your face, it's why the heck not?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, some of it's definitely easier to do and maintain if you have extra money lying around.
I think we might have touched on this very briefly outside of the podcast universe, but I've heard of red light therapy, and I know that they sell red light masks or red light strips that you purportedly can get all sorts of benefits from, whether it's like red lighting your testicles to increase testosterone. You mean you presumably don't have testicles too? Maybe I shouldn't be confirmed. But for the face, I think you might have said you weren't up enough on this research to comment on red light therapy for the face, but
that is still my standing, and there might be good research studies out there. I haven't done a deep dive enough to know, but a lot of these things you could probably find a study that would like support them, but you really have to look at the actual like methodology of the study, who sponsored the study, and the actual numbers, because sometimes when you look at those, it would actually suggest that there's not a significant difference. So,
and this is, I guess, less specific to plastic surgery. But when you're looking at studies, because I get the sense that you try to keep up to date on research, are you very aware of where these studies are coming from and weighing their value based on this provenance? Like some unnamed or some university you've never heard of in, not to pick on Uzbekistan, but Uzbekistan versus like Harvard or Yale Medical School or something like that.
Yes and no. When it's an international source, I look at it with the understanding that I'm not as familiar with some of the research practices and methodologies there, but that doesn't delegitimize the study for me. For me, it's more about, you know, the methodology and the numbers, and do I think it was like a well-designed study, rather than saying, okay, well, this came out of Uzbekistan, so, you know, how sound were the methods there? I look at it more that way. And if it's sponsored by like a drug company, I will also look at it with more of a grain of salt, knowing that they have an incentive to find certain results. So,
okay, bring it on.
Okay.
I'm going to refresh on my notes and see what sort of things I haven't yet. Oh, yeah, of course. I keep notes. Let's see. Guests. Hudson, Caroline.
That's me. smashed this.
Yeah, you really did. Whatever that thing is. It looks cinnamony, though, which
Okay.
I like the idea.
It's the best I could cut it.
That's fine.
Hold on.
Okay.
Okay.
Sunscreen. How do you feel about it? So the reason that I ask about well, first, give me that. You can't just taunt me by leaving it cut. And oh, this is also filled. What's this thing?
That is a cinnamon sugar rice ball.
I'm very into this already. This is my favorite thing so far. Probably because it's the sweetest.
It's really hard to chew.
Mm-hmm.
It's labor intensive.
Mm-hmm. Masticators. Speaking of masticators.
Okay. I think you mean, are you talking about the masseter? Or the general term masticators describing the 4 different chewing muscles?
That's exactly what I was referring to.
Okay.
All right, have you kept up to date on Zac Efron?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
For those who aren't as in the know, maybe a year ago, he appeared on some program with a drastically different face.
Mm-hmm.
His jaw was just huge and boxy.
Mm-hmm.
And he recently said that he broke his jaw 9 years ago.
Oh, wow.
In 2013, and it was
Okay.
like practically hanging off of his face.
Uh-huh.
And somehow, I didn't connect the dots, but that has resulted in his jaw being this big now. And I don't think it was surgery. I think it was like physical therapy. I could be totally wrong. But
But its jaw looks different again now, right? It's like back to how it
I don't
looked
think so.
before. It looks the same now.
I think it looks the same.
That's weird.
So did you think the masticators could have had that big of an effect?
Well, when someone breaks their jaw, they have titanium plates screwed on to reattach to
But did
put
he?
the
I
bones
don't
together.
think he had that surgery.
Well, if his jaw was hanging off of his face, I would imagine that he
Okay.
had it repaired. I don't know the details of that, but it sounds like that's some sort of open fracture situation, in which case he probably would have been plated, and that would make your jaw look like that
8 years ago.
when it happened.
Yeah.
For sure. They'll have associated swelling that will take weeks to months to go down. But I don't know of any sort of delayed onset swelling post-traumatic from a fracture someone sustained like close to a decade ago. That sounds unusual to me.
So you don't think that... Well, how have you evaluated his face when you've seen it? Like, what have your thoughts been?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take a trained eye to see that something is unnatural looking and bloated about his appearance now that wasn't that way just a year or two ago.
So do you think it was plastic surgery?
I don't know about plastic surgery. Maybe fillers is what people speculated, or jaw implants. I don't know what's going on exactly, and I try not to get into like go down the rabbit hole of what celebrities have had what procedures. Do I think? But
We don't have to talk about
it seems
it anymore.
unnatural to me. So it looks like he's had something done to his face.
What surprises me is if he has had something done to his face, that granted he's such a high profile celebrity, he wouldn't have had a high profile and very good physician taking care of him to make sure that like this didn't happen.
Well, maybe that's how he wanted to look.
Okay.
Maybe he achieved a look he was going for, but what people set out to look like and then maybe what the public thinks someone should look like can be two different things. And so that's part of a difficult job of a plastic surgeon, is reconciling those things of maybe what you think would look best versus what your patient is wanting.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So this thing that we just ate,
Yeah.
also fried, I think.
Yeah.
It had this very chewy exterior
I would agree.
and then some sort of more viscous interior that I'm not sure what
Pasty.
it was. Yeah, pasty.
Like a bean paste. It tasted
Like a bean paste. I enjoyed it, but the tale of Paris baguettes thus far to me is that it's very fried and greasy. the things we've had at least. And the flavors are very subtle.
Yeah. I mean, is that a question or is that just your opinion?
That's my opinion, but I'm wanting your response.
I feel like you strike me as someone who likes to be like blown away with flavor. Like blast me with flavor.
Flavor blast me. Right in the face. Right in the mouth.
Flavor blasted goldfish. Whereas maybe I'm sometimes more of a person who likes to appreciate like the simpler flavors in something like a sugar cookie. Where it's like, that's nice. Instead of like, you know what the sugar cookie could use? Like some Heath bits and drizzle it with caramel and then like sprinkle it with other stuff, you know? So I like being able to taste like butter or salt, like simpler notes. Whereas if something is like distractingly one flavor, sometimes I feel like that's a little much. But I can see how... I would agree. Some of the flavors are like more subtle, but I also think that's something that's kind of European. Mm-hmm. They're not always so like flavorful.
Yeah. And I do like simple things, but...
No, you don't.
I like them to be really sweet when they're simple. Like a sugar cookie with an inch of icing.
No, see, sugar cookies don't need icing.
Yes, they do.
You're just proving my point here. Like, my favorite Girl Scout cookies are probably shortbread. What are yours? Caramel Delight.
I don't eat them ever.
But you've had them.
The only Girl Scout cookie I know that I've had is a Thin Mint.
Oh, okay. Also pretty simple.
Yeah. And
Classic.
They're decent.
Yeah, they're fine.
Okay. I said sunscreen, but then did not elaborate on it at all about 10 minutes ago.
Uh-huh.
Sunscreen. Yep. I'll say it again.
Yep. My
uncle, 15 years ago, told me not to use sunscreen unless I absolutely had to. And so that sounds crazy, and maybe it is, but he wasn't saying to just like sun myself at all times. He was saying to shield my skin with like hats or long pants and long shirt or gloves or whatever, and not use sunscreen, because he was of the opinion, from his own research, whatever that meant, that I would just be loading my body with toxic chemicals.
Okay.
Based on your expression, that does not seem to resonate with you. But so first of all, before we get into the benefits of sunscreen, are there downsides of sunscreen, like loading your body up with chemicals?
No.
Okay.
No, there are not downsides. So I guess if you are allergic to... Some sunscreens are... have like metal traces in them, trace metals from like zinc oxide, things like that. If you have an allergy to one of those metals, then you could potentially experience some sort of skin reaction, an allergic reaction, but otherwise, no. I mean, it's not systemically absorbed in a significant way. So
I wonder though, not just with sunscreens, but with all topical moisturizers and products, you do absorb things from those products into your skin. So does that mean that you should be in general very careful about what products you're putting on your body?
Like what kind of products?
The Neutrogena moisturizer you get at CVS or Walgreens.
No, I don't think there's like a downside. If those were like to be some of it absorbed systemically, there's not really any sort of untoward side effects. So okay. I don't think that would be a problem.
So what is your position then generally on sunscreen?
Very positive, very pro sunscreen. I think that's the best thing you could do to avoid aging yourself, is because, I mean, apart from wearing hats and covering your skin, obviously that's going to assure that you don't have any skin coming in contact with the sun. But yeah, otherwise sunscreen all the time.
So what is the sun doing to like my face when I go outside on a more granular level than just saying it's damaging it?
It is the UVA and the UVB rays. ultraviolet rays are going into your body and creating free radicals that then damage your DNA that is involved in the skin aging process. So that's why things like antioxidants help to scavenge those free radicals and eliminate them so that they don't induce that DNA damage.
And when the DNA is damaged, does that result in skin damage, at least, or visible skin damage, because it somehow interferes with collagen and elastin? Is that pretty much the exclusive mechanism?
The exclusive mechanism?
Well, I mean, like you said, that coloration problems are a byproduct of...
melanocytes.
Right,
Yeah.
melanocytes, but more indirectly of collagen problems.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if, like, all of those things, discoloration, et cetera, that result from sun damage are because ultimately, like, the most proximate cause of all of them is the interference with the collagen.
Yeah, I would say like the skin microenvironment in general is what the DNA is responsible for and overseeing it, and the sun induces damage on that DNA.
Okay. So do you wear sunscreen every day?
No. That's mostly because I'm driving to work when the sun's not out yet. I'm coming home when the sun is setting. So the UV index is low. Also, if I am though, like if I go outside, every time I'm wearing sunscreen.
Oh,
on
even
my arms.
On your arms too?
I wear a wide brim hat on my for
And
my
you
face.
put sunscreen on your arms?
Of course, I put it anywhere my skin's going to be in contact with the sun.
Okay. And what SPF do you use on your arm? On your face, I mean.
I don't really use sunscreen on my face because I'm always wearing a hat.
Okay.
But I have a lot of facial sunscreens, and the SPFs range from like minimum of 40 upwards. I think they said after like 80, it's like it plateaus and you're not going to get any more efficacy or protection after that. So like 100 versus 120 is like meaningless.
And if you're out at 6:30 a.m. and the sun is up, will you still wear sunscreen?
No. I go by the UV index, which is on my phone, which is
Okay.
a mark of how intense the sun is at that time.
So if it's an overcast day, you'll go out without a hat on?
It depends on the time. If it's like noon and minimally overcast, I'll still wear a hat.
Even if the UV index is 0?
If the UV index is 0, I probably will go by that and wouldn't wear a hat.
Okay.
But if it's like 3, I'll put a hat on. Why not?
Okay. Why not? A
Yeah.
fine answer. All right. Bring it on.
Okay.
How many more things do we have?
I mean, as many or as little as you want.
No, I'm going to want to eat all of them, but how many are there?
There are 5 in here.
Okay, cool.
Do you want me to cut 2 at a time?
No.
Okay.
Unless you're in like a major rush.
I don't know. I guess it depends on the time. I wouldn't say I'm in a rush.
Okay, it's 1:40.
Okay. Oh, hold on. I have to cut this right. Okay.
How are you on time?
Fine.
Okay, cool. Then no rush.
Okay, here you go. Sorry, I think I got some lemon icing on that, so
Oh,
disregard that.
Great. What is this thing? It also looks kind of donutty.
It is a pumpkin mochi donut. I don't know what a mochi donut is, actually. I've been seeing that a lot. Mochi.
This is my new favorite of the things we've had.
Yeah, I actually had this for breakfast this morning. I grabbed an extra one because I like it.
It's the sweetest thing. That's why I like it.
I do like it. I like the texture of it. And also the pumpkin flavor,
It's very crispy, creamy.
which is my favorite donut.
Nice cinnamon. Got that fluffy airiness with some good elasticity. And then somewhat subtle in the pumpkin department, but nice and sweet.
Mm-hmm.
So retinols.
Mm-hmm.
That is some sort of vitamin A type product, right?
Yep.
You told me to start using tretinoin.
Oh yeah, how's that going?
I mean, I use it every day.
And happy with how your skin looks?
I don't think it's made a difference at all.
It's a shame. How long have you been using it now?
Probably like a month.
Okay. I think they say like 4 to 6 weeks for you to notice some changes.
Yeah, I haven't noticed anything, but that's fine. I also saw that it takes like 9 months sometimes.
Oh shit, it's a long time.
It stimulates collagen. Is that the only thing it does? Because it also irritates your face a lot and causes like
a purge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So walk me through this whole retinol thing.
Yeah. I'm not an exact expert, but my thought about it is that it stimulates collagen and it causes your skin to kind of reset itself. And so for people with like acne, it like purges all the imperfections and impurities in the skin. And so I don't know if there's a mechanistically an exact understanding of why it has all of these effects, but it will like minimize your pores, improve fine lines, clear up your acne. It's like a cure-all, but I don't know if I don't exactly know why.
It seemed like one of the only products. I did some cursory research after you recommended it, but one of the only products that you can get that's a cream that has been shown over and over again to be effective in improving the appearance of your skin.
Yeah, it's very well studied.
So basically everybody should be taking it if they want to have better skin.
Yeah, and
Unless
it's available in a variety of doses.
Yeah.
So very weak doses that you can take even weekly, up to daily, and then strong doses like the kind you had or wanted.
Yeah, I'm on the 1% and they do too.
0.1%.
I'm on the 0.1%. But when this tube is up, I think we'll go to 0.2. What?
Just full throttle all the time.
Yeah, full throttle all the time. So, but retinol was that, or Retin-A was that, was one of the only products, the skin products that is definitely you should be taking. But another thing that came up that I wanted to ask you about that I saw in some locations you should be taking in conjunction with Retin-A is something called alpha hydroxy acids. But I have no idea what that is. So I wanted to ask you what those are, what they do, and if you recommend somebody use those in conjunction with the Retin-A. Are you done with your donut?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know. It's the perfect combination here.
Last night I went to this like philosophy pizza party thing.
Cute.
And
did you just eat everyone's extra pizza?
I ate so much.
Remember when Haley, her pizza memory of you?
Yeah.
You just eat a lot of pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ate 5 slices of pizza, which, I mean, depending on the pizza, could be a lot or a little. But they're pretty big slices.
They were triangles, I'm assuming.
So I've never had Little Caesars before.
Me neither.
Because
it's hot and it's ready.
Well, but also, yeah, it is. But also, as you know, I couldn't eat tomatoes until relatively recently. But somebody told me that this pizza was very much like Little Caesars. So it was like a really thick, raised, chewy dough with like really crappy... It was like really bad pizza, but it tasted so good. So I am now very interested in trying Little Caesars.
I would describe myself as not interested in trying Little Caesars pizza.
That's a fair way to describe you.
Just because the market for Little Caesars is like, who's the target audience?
I think the target audience is homeless people. At least that's what I heard a recent comedy skit about. Or
because it's inexpensive and it's just
who
always
else,
ready.
Who else needs hot and ready food like at all times?
Exactly. Yeah, I'm suspicious, but
okay. What were we talking about right before that? Oh yeah,
alpha hydroxy acids.
Yeah, alpha hydroxy acids.
I think that's a So what I know about AHAs are that they include certain acids like lactic acid or glycolic acid, which are used a lot in chemical peels.
And really quickly before we go on, I think the general audience hears acid and they think, I'm burning.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about acids, we're talking about fatty acids.
No, we're talking about like burning acids.
Oh, we are.
Yeah.
AHAs are burning acids?
Well, lactic acid and glycolic acid, those...
I don't know my acids.
Those,
I guess lactic acid is in like kimchi and stuff.
and you get like lactic acid buildup, which causes like...
Muscles. Okay, so we're not talking about those creamy fatty acids.
We're not.
Okay,
We're talking about
I'm the
controlled
audience.
injuries.
I'm the general audience here.
Controlled injuries to your skin. Again, just with that goal of resurfacing, retexturizing, brightening the skin, clearing up the complexion. So for chemical peels, I don't know if you're familiar. Have you ever done a chemical peel?
No, but your husband was telling me that you and your sister did them.
Oh, yeah. And I was like I was like white knuckling the counter and like...
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was burning really intensely.
Okay.
That was a combination of something called kojic acid, lactic acid, and glycolic acid peel. It was like a multi-acid. There was one other, fourth one. But yeah, the peels it's a controlled minor injury to your skin, and then maybe 4 to 7 days later, you start to
Purge.
flake, peel.
Do you use in your world the term hormesis or hormetic stressor to describe this?
No,
Okay.
never heard that term.
An hormetic, or because there's an H, so I don't ever know whether or not I should say a hormetic stressor or an hormetic stressor. But it is something that stresses you, but to ultimately positive benefit, like getting in a sauna or going for a run. Exercise is an hormetic stressor because it's breaking down your body, but so that you build back stronger.
Like residency.
Yeah. Like residency. No, so that's a perfect example. But maybe one wouldn't want to describe the chemical peel as coming as like an hormetic stressor, because just purging or flaking your skin and having it come back fresh isn't necessarily something that improves your fitness. It's more just a cosmetic improvement.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what the chemical peel does.
Yeah.
So when people recommend AHAs, is that just the same tantamount to recommending chemical peels, or they're different products?
No, there are products that contain those acids too.
And there's something that you put on daily and they don't cause this burning sensation?
Yeah, they're
or
lower
peeling?
concentrations.
Okay, and they just work maybe with a different mechanism than the retinols, but to the same effect.
Exactly.
Okay.
And in a cream or serum form, it's going to be not as concentrated as a chemical peel, so it's going to take longer to get those results, or you're not going to achieve those exact results as you would with a peel.
And would you stack the AHAs with tretinoin, or no? Is that something you've ever recommended or tried?
The peel?
No, the AHAs with the tretinoin.
Oh, in one thing?
Not in one thing necessarily, but I mean doing them at the same time, like the same day.
Oh, the same day?
Just
I think
incorporating them both into your routine.
So there are two, some people say it's a good idea to give your skin a break on the retinol before you do a chemical peel, like a week before, and other people say some studies have shown that with certain peels, taking retinols for 2 weeks before that peel actually helps your skin recover faster. So it's not really clear what the exact, there's no consensus about the timing of those things.
But I'm not asking about the chemical peel. I'm just asking about like the daily topical AHA.
Oh, yeah, you can use them both.
Okay.
For sure.
Would you recommend I look into it? Are they really expensive products?
With anything, there's a range. You can get like medical grade stuff, which is going to be more expensive, and you can get over the counter stuff, which is less expensive. And it's up to you to decide how much you want to incorporate in your routine. And so it's something that's going to be beneficial, but if you don't have it in your life, your skin will probably also look nice.
Okay. Let's bring on another one.
Okay, I'm going to go savory with this one.
Okay.
I forget what this is, but I think it is a mushroom quiche.
Okay. The French really like their butter.
Puff paste, of course.
Yeah. I'm not too familiar with French cuisine, but this is
Not fried.
not a quiche.
I know. Well, actually, it smells. I can see some egg in there.
Yeah, it's not like a quiche where
A traditional quiche
where it's
with
like
a
a
pie
big
crust.
pie. But yeah, it's got like 2 millimeters of quicheiness in it.
My guess is you're going to say you want more filling.
I am.
I like the filling, though. It's a nice bite.
Yeah, I like that. There's a little bit of zest because I see some red pepper, and also there's some cheese, like a little tang.
But do you like the traditional pie crust versus this more of a brioche dough?
I prefer the brioche, but I would like it if there were more filling. It also seems like there's like a light sugary glaze on the outside,
There's a sweetness to it.
which I like.
Brioche as a dough has a higher sugar content
Oh,
than
really?
average dough. Yeah, so it's kind of a sweeter dough. Am I covered in crumbs? Not too bad. That was good. I liked that. I had never had that.
It's fine. I would never get it again.
Never.
No.
Okay.
I would eat it again, but I wouldn't buy it.
Okay. Fair.
The only thing that I would deign to get again was that chewy cinnamon rice ball.
Yeah, that was good. I liked that.
I liked how chewy it was. There was a time where I would eat 50 munchkins a day.
Oh, wow. Like we're talking breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
No. So I lived around the corner from a Dunkin' Donuts, and I would go in the morning, and I would get these sprinkle covered munchkins, which were my favorite, like 2 25-packs, and then just throughout the day, as I wrote, like every 100 words, I would get up and like have 2 munchkins or something, and then I would write like 2,500, or it must have been some different interval because I was writing more like 5 or 10,000 words a day, but I would eat a lot of munchkins.
Is that a lot of words?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's 250 is a page.
Okay.
So 2,500 is 10 pages, roughly,
Okay.
in manuscript format.
They're like double spaced?
No, so,
Oh, okay.
well, 250 words is a page in manuscript format on average. And manuscript format is in the courier typeface, and it's double spaced, 12-point font.
Yeah, so double spaced.
Right, but that's not how I write. I mean, I'm using a different sort of word processor where it's more like just text edit, where there's no real formatting. But then I like press a compile button that would spit something out that's formatted. So I just track the words. I'm not tracking the
Got
pages.
Got it. Okay.
Are you done?
I am. Here you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So my next question.
Yeah.
You told me that you were considering some various options before you decided to come to Palo Alto for your fellowship.
Yes.
One of these was working on facial feminization surgeries in Boston.
Yep.
What was the physician's name?
Dr. Spiegel.
Okay. So Dr. Spiegel is well known for doing these surgeries.
He is, yeah.
People will travel to see him. What is a facial feminization? What is the purpose of a facial feminization surgery? Although it's somewhat contained in the name, if you could spell it out a bit more.
Yeah, it is rather self-explanatory, but it is an effort to make the face more feminine appearing, have those more feminine features when you close your eyes and think about a masculine face versus a feminine face. The brow area tends to be different for men. The appearance of the nose, the angle of the nose on the face, how it comes off the face, the jawline, the cheekbones, those areas are what anatomically separates a masculine look from a feminine look. So surgery, facial femme, is when you're trying to take a more masculine feature and feminize it.
Now, will Dr. Spiegel do just one feature, like you want a feminized chin, or does he only do like the whole package, kind of?
No. And I don't think he thinks of himself. I mean, I'm totally speaking for him, but just based on the conversation I had in interviewing with him, I don't think he looks at himself as necessarily just, a surgeon who has like exclusively trans patients. It's more like he told me, which rang true to a certain degree, that all plastic surgery is facial feminization surgery, because most of what people, at least female patients and some male patients, are chasing are more feminine features, slimmer, smaller things.
Not Zac Efron.
Yeah, well. So.
And didn't you tell me recently that you guys had a patient come in who wanted like the biggest chin possible?
Yes. Yeah. People can get really.
Dr. Spiegel doesn't know what he's talking about. That's what I'm trying to say.
He works with the patient to, I think, address only the areas of concern for the patient. It's not like a one-stop shopping, you have to do everything or nothing type of deal. Mm-mm.
So my next question was going to be, are his patients largely trans, or are they also cisgendered women who just want to appear more feminine?
Well, the cisgendered women, it's not their express wish being like, I want to appear more feminine. It's just what they're describing tends to be something that's classically considered as more feminine, was his point. But he has a mix of trans and non-trans patients, as do most surgeons who perform facial feminization or gender reaffirming surgeries.
And I imagine that I present as having a masculine face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is the surgery evolved to the point where I could go in and come out post-recovery passing from the neck up as a woman?
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, because women, there's a whole spectrum of women, like women's appearances, right? Like not every woman looks like the most feminine woman. There are a lot of like more masculine, classically masculine looking women, and there are a lot of like very feminine looking women. And so could you get surgeries that would eliminate some of your more masculine features and make you appear feminine to the point where people would look at you and see you as a female? Yeah, definitely.
Well, I guess the reason that I ask is that I feel like when I see trans women, mm-hmm. I can tell that they're trans women, mm-hmm. but that might just be like total bias, and I'm just not like the trans women who I don't realize are trans women. I'm just not noticing them.
Right. That's sort of the same thing with like fillers. A lot of people will say like fillers look unnatural, and that's only because like you're noticing
the people who
the ones that like are not filled well, or like you're not noticing a lot of people who actually do have fillers. So I think probably about the same is true about trans folks.
And what was it about the facial feminization surgery that ultimately didn't attract you as much as just the general
It was more like the fellowship that I ended up choosing had checked more of the boxes in what I was looking to achieve out of this year. It was nothing really to do with the surgical exposure per se. I just wanted to focus on other aspects during this year as well, in addition to that.
Which were the aspects that you wanted to work on?
Because I'll be going in solo private practice next year, I wanted to be part of a practice that I would feel like I would learn a lot of business acumen with as well.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into like starting and owning a practice that I have not had exposure to in my education as in the sciences.
So is your intention then to run the business elements yourself, or are you planning on hiring like office staff? Ooh.
This is the one I'm not looking forward to.
What is it?
Tiramisu tart. I don't like tiramisu.
Oh, cut yourself like the tiniest little part then.
You're going to eat whatever I don't anyway.
Okay, that's fine. You don't like tiramisu?
No. Ugh, never have. I don't like the flavors there.
Why not?
The flavor.
I don't like it when the coffee is too strong.
It just doesn't taste good. It's like, yeah, I think I'll wear many different hats when I start my practice, and eventually, if and when it becomes successful, I'll pass some of those tasks over to someone else that I hire. It's very dry.
Yeah.
So dry. The coffee, or what is that, cocoa on top? It's bitter.
This whole thing is bitter. It's
Some
really
people
dry.
like bitter.
This is like a desert in my mouth.
Yeah, it's like I have cotton mouth now, and I ran out of water.
Because even like the cheese or whatever is dry.
It's so dry.
Mm-hmm.
That's by far my least favorite one, as I knew it would be. It doesn't even ring like tiramisu to me. It's just like a cocoa powder tart.
Very dry, very hard to swallow.
For sure.
Chocolatey. Very dark chocolatey. Cheesy. I could live without it.
Yeah, that's my lowest. That gets my lowest.
But
score.
I would eat it. I would eat like 20 of those if I just could.
No, I would eat no more ever. I'm done with those.
When you open up your private practice,
Yeah.
you're going to focus on the face. So that means no breast augmentation or
Right.
Brazilian butt jobs, if that's what they're called, butt
Yeah.
lifts.
Yeah.
Because you're an ENT, are you not qualified to do those, or you just aren't interested?
I don't know if I could, like, legally. I'm definitely not interested in doing so. So yeah, I won't be.
But you will be doing rhinoplasty.
Yeah.
I keep getting the guy's name that you work with wrong.
Oh, Dr. Mehta.
Dr. Mehta. Mehta, does he have a last name?
That's his first name. That is his last name. Umang is his first name.
Umang? Mehta. Well, I like randomly came across his Instagram page and was looking at the nose jobs he did.
Yeah.
And was like amazed by them.
Yeah.
And very cursorily looked at some of the descriptions. And the processes were much more complicated than I thought that a nose job would entail. So in my mind, what happens when you get a nose job is this is just in my mind.
Sure.
They make an incision somewhere. They cut through the skin. Then, like Michelangelo, they take a tiny little chisel and they shave away some bone. And then they just cover it right up again. I don't think that's what's going on.
We do have chisels.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
We do have
little tiny chisels?
Yeah, like 3mm chisels.
That's very funny.
So you're not wrong there. But
It just seemed like there was a lot going on with cartilage, taking cartilage from other places on the body or skin from other places of the body and
Not
doing
skin,
a lot of
but
grafting
cartilage.
and things.
Yeah. It kind of goes back to what we were talking about, like nasal anatomy and like head and neck anatomy in general tends to be like a lot more complicated than people can really generally have a grasp for. So nasal anatomy, sometimes it's as simple as just shaving a hump down, but a lot of times people have complaints about the appearance of their tip. So they feel like they have a bulbous tip to their nose or a droopy tip, or this is very wide in their nostril area. And those are not things that can just simply be chiseled away. They have to be restructured. And so,
Okay. So I don't think that's something that I realized. I thought a nose job was really just fixing the topology of the arch, basically. Mm-hmm. But no, you can get completely different nostrils if you want them.
Yeah, you can change the shape of your nostrils. You can change the orientation of your tip if you want your nose more upturned and scooped, or if you want your nose less, some people have kind of a piggish appearance to their nose and they want it turned down a little bit closer towards their lips. And so you can achieve all those things with a rhinoplasty.
And I can understand. I gave you a simplistic picture of how I imagined that dealing with the arch might go. Mm-hmm. How are you, let's say I want like a completely different nostril. Like mm-hmm. Have you performed a nose job?
I have.
So how are you manipulating the cartilage to change its appearance in the nostril?
So the area of your nose where your nostrils are doesn't have cartilage. It's just skin.
This is not cartilage?
Right.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, like the rim here and the bottom part against your lip area is just skin. And so your cartilage starts about halfway up your nostril.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So most of the time changing the shape and position of the nostrils has to do with just cutting out a wedge of skin and sewing it back together. Because most people want their nostrils to be less flared or less wide. They want them narrower. I don't think there's a surgical maneuver per se that can take narrow nostrils and make them wider.
Okay.
But yeah, normally it's pretty straightforward. You can even do it in the office and just cut out the skin and sew it back together to make the nostrils more narrow.
And then when you're dealing with the cartilage, so mm-hmm. like the tip where I think that there is cartilage.
For sure.
How is that being restructured?
Oh, all sorts of ways. That's sort of like...
Is that the hard part? The hardest? Or more?
Yeah, it's one of the artistic aspects of, and the hardest aspects of rhinoplasty is like there are so many techniques, maneuvers, and there's a big toolbox. And so being a good rhinoplasty surgeon means knowing what technique to employ for each patient. And so, I mean, there's not one way to do something.
Can you tell me a couple?
You can cartilage graft onto the tip. You can...
So if you want to extend the tip, you might take cartilage from where?
From the septum, the nasal septum.
Okay.
In between, which is what you can touch when you feel inside your nostrils. And then you can take cartilage from someone's ear. You can take cartilage from someone's rib. And you can use that to fashion a graft. That's a small, usually circular shape, and put that on the tip of someone's nose. You can do suturing techniques to reinforce and change the shape of the cartilage, at how it comes together with the sutures that you're cinching and tying. And there are releasing maneuvers if someone has a wideness to their tip. If you release those cartilages that are coming together and then resuture them in a kind of a slightly different shape, then that is also a way that you can change the shape of the tip. There are lots of ways to change the tip of someone's nose. Trimming, you can trim cartilage down.
And I can easily understand why it's artistic in the sense of just sculpture and paying attention to aesthetics. Mm-hmm. But are you also saying that it's an art to just determine what techniques somebody should use? And why do you describe that as an art rather than a science?
Because it's a judgment call. It's using your aesthetic and using your visual experiences to essentially guess how something should look, and then how something it ends up looking when people heal. And so having that eye, that artistry, to be able to say this technique will achieve this result is not something that you can just like read in a textbook and get that result. There's like an art element to it.
Which brings me to another point that I was curious about. When you're in residency or when you're in your fellowship, it is easy for me to understand that you are, or how you might learn the techniques or the tools of the trade. But what I wonder is how they are training your aesthetic eye to see a patient that like comes into a room and guide them through like this process about their appearance. Because on some level, I imagine, how to put this, expertise maybe comes a lot from experience and awareness. And I imagine that you have to have, for one, a really good understanding of what makes somebody attractive or what makes somebody feel attractive. And you also have to have a lot of experience with different types of faces, perhaps different like cultural ideals of beauty. And I can imagine that, I can just imagine a world in which part of your training is like going to fashion model websites and looking at models and having a teacher at the front of the room like pointing at slides and saying, look at these perfect nostrils, look at her tip, it's not droopy, oh, this is where the eyebrows should be in like the ideal face. And then when a patient comes in, you're sort of internally like mapping the problems on their face to like this ideal face and figuring out how you can augment it to make it match the ideal.
Yeah, there are certain objective numbers in the plastics world, certain angles, certain ratios, everything is down to like an exact proportion. Yeah, pretty much every inch of the face has been studied and labeled as these are the ideals. So there certainly are actual metrics.
Do you know how they determine these metrics? Like, are they?
I don't, but I guess my guess is it involves white people.
Yeah, I can see that too, but that's not quite what I meant. I wonder if like they're conducting studies, or they conduct studies for this specific purpose where they have like 100 people look at pictures of 1,000 people and rate them.
It's got to be like, crowd based, or maybe expert reviewers. I don't know exactly. I can do one more. I can't do two more.
We have two more?
Yeah.
Well, you can just do like a little bite of the second one, right?
I'll leave that one for you. This is a caramel almond tart.
Okay.
Also not fried.
Interesting. I mean, I've always like had my own body image and appearance issues my entire life. And this one smells really nice. It smells caramely.
It smells
so
delightful.
I've always wondered. So something I would always like, I'd be on AIM with like girls in 6th grade, being like
pecan pie.
What can I do to make myself more attractive?
Oh, it's sad to think about.
It is sad to think about. I was like, what should I wear? Like, how should I do my hair? Like, do I need to work out? All of these things.
Yeah.
And the idea that somewhere out there is like a body of knowledge against which I can compare myself to like find out objectively what I would need to do, even 20 years later.
I don't know. I think that.
Oh, this is very good.
I knew you'd like that one. It's by far the sweetest one we've tried.
Yeah.
It's like a pecan pie, right?
I've only had one slice of pecan pie ever.
Oh, you'd love it. It's really good.
But this tastes like a breakfast cereal to me.
I do get breakfast notes. There's like a maple aspect to the caramel. Yeah. It's nice.
This one's very good.
It's nice. I think attractiveness is comfort in your own skin. More than anything else.
Like when you see somebody, you're like, they're attractive if they are confident, you're saying?
I think people can tell from nonverbal and subconscious cues if someone has confidence in who they are in their appearance, and that makes people attractive who even like maybe objectively aren't. But like that's how like Pete Davidson is dating 500 different like A-list celebrities. Is like, I don't know, there's like a confidence there or something, like something intangible that makes someone attractive to people who otherwise isn't like, objectively.
He's tall.
Yeah, but like...
And he's famous and stuff, and that helps. But
the women are famous too. They can date anybody.
Yeah, but they probably want to date a famous guy.
But there are other famous guys to date.
Yeah, that's true.
Who look nicer.
Yeah.
So it's, I think it's not as simple. It's not as like black and white as like, I have these angles, I have this ratio, so I'm
It
attractive.
is though, as far as like, it doesn't matter what the model in the magazine thinks about how she looks, because you don't interact with her on a level where you can tell. All you do is get to see.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get that the real world is different, but
right.
There's also something.
Yeah, there can be some objectivity to beauty.
You're done again? Oh my god. You got all the good stuff out of it.
I know.
You do that like with every one of these, and then I'm just left with the rind.
You don't mind.
No, I don't.
It's a lot to think about.
All right, let's do the last one.
Okay.
You should at least have like a little bite of it.
It's just, I brought you the traditional croissant.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's what we should have done first. All right.
I can't do anymore.
All right.
That was my entire lunch right there, for sure.
Croissant is good.
I'm so glad we didn't end on the tiramisu.
All right. Let's see what else I got for you. Lots of pastry. How does Botox work?
Oh, Botox, it's a neurotoxin.
So that sounds like I shouldn't want it in my body right away.
Right, it's poison, for sure. But it's a small dose that's acting very locally, only where you inject it. So it attacks the neuromuscular junction, where your nerve fires and tells your muscle to move. And it prevents that mechanism from working. So it paralyzes the muscle, and then over the course of 3 to 4 months, the muscle builds up enough resources to start working again.
Does it cause any permanent damage?
No. It's very safe. Some people think that with time, the more you inject your Botox, the more you inject the same muscle with Botox, you sort of beat it into submission and weaken it. If it spends the bulk of its time being paralyzed, then it does sort of atrophy with time.
But that's something that you would probably want if you're the type of person or the person who's getting Botox.
Yeah, I mean, like women who have been getting, or men who have been getting Botox for 30 or 40 years, they tend to not need as much as someone who is just early on in their Botox journey.
Well, this has been fun. I've learned a lot. I didn't have quite as much sweets as I had anticipated.
So many sweets.
I was expecting like cupcakes, lemon meringue tarts, Rice Krispie treats.
No, those are too traditional.
They're just sweet. Oh. All right. Thank you so much for entertaining my
curiosities.
Yes, exactly. For humoring me.
You're welcome.
And another episode in the books. I have recorded this about 10 times because I'm just so bad at asking for help, but if you could like, subscribe, comment on whatever medium you're consuming this nascent fledgling podcast on, that would be so helpful, because the best thing for helping me grow this podcast at this point is making it at least appear that I have an audience. So thank you for listening, and thank you for supporting me.